Our wings once soared, remembering Canada's aviation heyday. Canada, land of polite people, maple syrup, and believe it or not, a pretty darn impressive aviation history. We weren't always just the folks buying planes from down south or across the pond. No sir, we had pioneers, real daredevils, strapping themselves to contraptions of wood and fabric. From the Silver Dart making the first powered flight in the British Empire right here in Baddeck, Nova Scotia, we showed the world we had the right stuff. We were innovators, pushing the boundaries of what was possible in the early days of flight. This spirit didn't just fade away after those early flights. We built planes for the First and Second World Wars. We became a powerhouse, an arsenal of democracy in the sky. Companies sprouted, factories hummed, and Canadian-designed and built aircraft took to the skies, serving with distinction. Then came the Avro Aero. If you don't know about the CF-105 Avro Aero, well, you should. Grounded by reality, why we buy jets from our neighbors. After the Aero heartbreak, Canada still needed fighter jets. The Cold War wasn't going to pause for our national mourning. We needed to patrol our skies, contribute to NORAD, and fulfill our NATO commitments. Since we'd just decided building our own super advanced jets was off the table, we had to go shopping. And where do you shop for high-tech military gear when you're Canada? You look south to Uncle Sam, or sometimes across the Atlantic to our European friends. This began our long-standing tradition of flying foreign-made fighter aircraft. For a long time, the McDonnell Douglas CF-18 Hornet has been the workhorse. Now we're in the process of acquiring the F-35 Lightning II, another American-made marvel of modern technology. Buying off the shelf has its pros. You get a proven design, benefit from larger production runs, and get interoperability with allies. But there are cons too. You don't get a plane perfectly tailored to Canada's unique needs, and the jobs and technology stay in the country that built the plane. The desire for domestic production never entirely disappears. Not your grandfather's warplane, the modern fighter jet beast. Building a fighter jet today is not like building a souped-up Spitfire. We're talking about machines that are so complex, they make a Swiss watch look like a kid's Lego project. These aren't just planes, they're flying supercomputers, sensor platforms, and weapon systems all rolled into one incredibly sleek and incredibly expensive package. The jump in technology from the jets of the 1950s and 60s to the fifth and now emerging sixth-generation fighters is astronomical. Stealth is a big one. That means designing an airframe that's practically invisible to enemy radar, using exotic materials and special coatings. Then there's the avionics, the brains of the operation. We're talking advanced radar systems, infrared sensors, and electronic warfare suites. And all these systems have to talk to each other seamlessly through something called sensor fusion. A modern fighter jet like the F-35 runs on millions of lines of code. Writing it, testing it, debugging it, and ensuring it can't be hacked is a monumental task. The sticker shock. Can we even afford the blueprints? Building a modern fighter jet program from scratch would cost an absolutely staggering amount of money. The development costs alone for something like the F-35 program ran into the hundreds of billions of dollars. Even a cheaper advanced fighter would likely be in the tens of billions just to get a couple of prototypes flying. Then, assuming you've somehow magicked up the R&D money, you need to actually build the things. That means setting up highly specialized production lines. You need factories with clean rooms, advanced machine tools, and testing facilities. One of the big problems for a country like Canada is economies of scale. The United States plans to buy thousands of F-35s. If Canada were to develop its own jet, how many would we realistically buy? 100, maybe 150? The per unit cost would be astronomical because you're dividing those huge upfront R&D and tooling costs by a relatively small number of aircraft. It makes the business case incredibly difficult. Brainpower and bolts, the tech mountain to climb. Beyond the colossal financial investment, the technological hurdles to developing a modern fighter jet are immense. Think about the materials involved. Modern jets use advanced composites, titanium alloys, and radar-absorbent materials that are difficult to manufacture and work with. Developing these materials, or even just getting access to them and learning how to use them effectively, is a significant challenge in itself. Then there's the heart of any jet fighter, the engine. Modern jet engines are marvels of engineering, operating at extreme temperatures and pressures, delivering massive amounts of thrust with incredible reliability. Systems integration is another Mount Everest to climb. A fighter jet isn't just a collection of cool parts, it's a single, cohesive fighting machine where everything has to work together perfectly. And in today's world, you can't talk about advanced technology without talking about cybersecurity. We've still got the goods: Canada's aerospace muscle. If Canada were to seriously consider building its own fighter jet, we wouldn't be starting from absolute zero. We have a strong, vibrant aerospace sector that's respected around the world. Think about companies like Bombardier, which, despite its ups and downs, has designed and built some fantastic aircraft. Think about CAE, a world leader in flight simulators and training systems. Pratt & Whitney Canada is a global force in aircraft engines, particularly for regional jets and helicopters. These companies, and many smaller ones, form a solid industrial base with a lot of talent. We also have a highly skilled workforce. Canadian universities and colleges produce top-notch engineers, scientists, technicians, and software developers. The brainpower is here. We have a legacy of innovation, and that innovative spirit is still alive and well within our borders. The question isn't so much can we do anything, but can we scale up these existing strengths to tackle something as monumental as a 5th or 6th generation fighter program? Buddy up. Why going it alone is a tough flight. In the hyper-complex, ultra-expensive world of modern fighter jet development, going it completely alone is incredibly rare. Even the biggest players often team up. The United States, for all its aerospace might, partnered with a coalition of nations for the F-35 program. This wasn't just about sharing the cost, it was also about sharing technology, securing future export markets, and strengthening alliances. Very few nations these days have both the deep pockets and the comprehensive technological base to develop an advanced fighter entirely on their own from start to finish. It's a team sport more often than not. Look at successful European programs. The Eurofighter Typhoon is a collaboration between the UK, Germany, Italy, and Spain. The Saab Gripen, while primarily Swedish, incorporates significant technology and components from other countries. These partnerships allow countries to pool their resources, share the risks, and leverage their respective industrial strengths. By working together, they can create a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. Operation Maple Leaf Fighter. A sketch on a napkin. If we were to dream big, what might a roadmap for a Canadian-led or significantly Canadian fighter jet program look like? First and foremost, it would need an ironclad, long-term commitment from the Canadian government. This can't be a project that changes with every election cycle or budget whim. We're talking a multi-decade vision backed by consistent political support and, crucially, stable funding. Without that unwavering national will, starting down this path would be a recipe for expensive failure. Next, a massive and sustained investment in research and development would be absolutely critical. We'd need to identify key technology areas where Canada could realistically aim to lead, or at least be a significant player. This might mean focusing on areas like artificial intelligence for autonomous systems, advanced sensor technology tailored for Arctic environments, or next-generation secure communications. It would also be wise to clearly define what kind of aircraft Canada actually needs. Are we trying to build a direct competitor to the F-35, a jack-of-all-trades stealth fighter? Or could we identify a more specific niche? A phased approach might be the most sensible way forward. Instead of trying to build a 6th-generation marvel overnight, we could start by developing advanced unmanned aerial vehicles. The big debate: is a Canadian jet worth the national dream? The path to Canada, building its own fighter jet again, is fraught with enormous challenges. The financial costs are astronomical, potentially diverting billions from other essential services. The technological hurdles are incredibly high, requiring expertise and industrial capacity that we'd need to significantly rebuild or develop in certain areas. The risk of delays, cost overruns, and even outright failure would be substantial. Any government and any population would need to go into such an endeavor with their eyes wide open to these formidable obstacles. However, the potential benefits, if such a program could succeed, are also significant. Imagine the boost to Canadian industry, the creation of thousands of high-tech jobs, and the development of cutting-edge technologies that could have spin-off applications in other sectors. Think about the enhanced sovereignty, the ability to design and build an aircraft perfectly suited to Canada's unique defense needs, particularly in the Arctic. And then there's the intangible but powerful boost to national pride, the sense of accomplishment that would come from re-establishing Canada as a leader in aerospace innovation. Ultimately, the debate about whether Canada should build its own fighter jets isn't just about planes. It's about what kind of country we want to be.